Well, hello everyone and welcome to Race Week, and today I am going to be discussing the 2021 Formula 1 calendar, which was announced on Tuesday. Now, before we go into the video, make sure you visit the RaceWeek website at raceweekblog.com. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at raceweek_show, and make sure you leave a like, comment and subscribe for more Race Week content. Now, let's go into the video. So, starting off here on the screen, we have the 2021 Formula 1 calendar as revealed by Formula 1 on Tuesday. Now, there was talk that we might kick off the season in Bahrain due to Australia's strict response to the COVID-19 pandemic, but the Austrian Grand Prix has been put down for the 21st of March. And they are confident that their race will be able to be held and that the track allows for a socially distanced crowd. Then a week later we have the Bahrain Grand Prix, which will take place on the 28th of March, before the Chinese Grand Prix on the 11th of April. Now, on the 25th of April was supposed to be the Vietnam Grand Prix, which did not happen this year as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. But the race is not going to take place next year. And this is because of one of the race's key owners getting arrested for reasons unrelated to the race. As a result, there is a big hole in the organisation of the race, and the Vietnamese government have decided that they have other priorities than to host a Formula 1 race. Talks are in place for the race to be introduced in 2022, but there is a possibility that this race may never happen, which is a real shame. Would be a real shame considering the track has been built and a lot of money has been spent on the facility. So it would be a real shame if those facilities never got used. Then on the 9th of May we have the Spanish Grand Prix, which will be the first race of the European season. The difference to the 2020 calendar is that the Dutch Grand Prix has been moved, more on that later, with Monaco on the 23rd of May. Then a couple of weeks later, Formula 1 heads to Azerbaijan for round 7. Then it is the Canadian Grand Prix on the 13th of June. And then we have a double header of France and Austria on the 27th of June and the 4th of July. The British Grand Prix will take place on the 18th of July, with the Hungarian Grand Prix being the final race before the summer break on the 1st of August. On the 29th of August we will have the Belgian Grand Prix, followed a week later by the Dutch Grand Prix. Now, I believe that they did talk about potentially moving it, and I believe the reason for the Dutch Grand Prix being moved to after the summer break is to ensure that they can have more assurance that they can have a full house for their first Grand Prix. I mean, I don't imagine that going forward that Spa in particular will be that happy with having a race where the same amount of basically the same types of fans goes to a week later due to cannibalization of their audience. But it's not an issue for this year, for 2021, because a lot of the tickets are being rolled over from 2020. So it's unlikely to have that sort of issue next year. And then the European season ends. I mean, we have two triple headers in this part of the season, with the Italian Grand Prix completing this triple header on the 12th of September. Then we have a 2-week break before we have another triple header. On the 26th of September we have the Russian Grand Prix, which has been swapped with the Singapore Grand Prix. Usually the Singapore Grand Prix is the first race after the European season, but that has been changed around. The Singapore Grand Prix will take place on the 3rd of October, and then the Japanese Grand Prix will take place on the 10th of October. Then 2 weeks after that we have the American leg, the United States Grand Prix taking place on the 24th of October, the Mexican Grand Prix taking place on the 31st of October, the Brazilian Grand Prix on the 14th of November, then we have the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the first ever race in that country, on the 28th of November, with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix completing the season on the 5th of December. Now, the notable changes, as I mentioned, from the 2020 schedule are the Dutch Grand Prix being moved to round 14 after the summer break. Obviously, the introduction of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and the fact that Vietnam is not going to feature. And now this to be confirmed race has been put. They have a free space in Vietnam's slot. And the big question is, will there be a race on that day? And there's been a lot of talk that that race may go to one of these circuits that have stepped in to host a race. So that could be Mugello, the Nürburgring, Portimao, Imola, Istanbul. One of those could host the race. That race. For me, probably the best options for that will be either a German race at either the Nürburgring or Hockenheim, a Portuguese Grand Prix at Portimao, and I mean that would make logistical sense with it being 2 weeks before the Spanish Grand Prix, or Istanbul Park. I mean, I don't see it being Mugello or Imola because of Italy already having a race, and they probably prefer to have a race that's in a different country. But I think there's going to be a lot of talk as to what... There's going to be a lot of speculation over the coming weeks and potentially months as to what race is going to get that slot. And of course, a lot of this could be academic with the whole COVID-19 crisis. We don't know what the situation is going to be like in March, so it's a possibility, but I guess they have plans in place. The only leg of the season that might be a bit threatened, to be honest, is the early season flyaways, and those races are confident that they will be able to go ahead. The other thing to mention is that the Brazilian Grand Prix will be held in Sao Paulo, and that's relieving news to a lot of people, because there was talk that it was going to move to Rio at a new purpose-built track, which has raised a lot of controversy considering that the building of this track involves the cutting down of a forest. But for now, the race stays in Sao Paulo. So, just after the Formula 1 calendar got announced, the Support Series announced their calendars. And there's quite a bit to talk about with regards to the Support Series, because around a week ago it was announced that due to cost-cutting measures, there will be each series will be going to less events, but hosting 3 races per weekend. And to accommodate that, for 2021 and probably until they are financially able to go back to the old format, neither series will be on the same support bill, which obviously has disappointed a lot of people, but this was done with good reason, and the reason that this has been done is to save money for the teams. I mean, it does really look like, judging by what Bruno Michel said, that it was literally a case of either this or a lot of teams were going to collapse. So, the season will kick off in Bahrain. I mean, as I've mentioned, each round will have 3 races. There will be as much races as there was last year. There's not been any info on what the weekend format's going to be yet. But the season will kick off in Bahrain before heading to Monaco, and then the season will head to Baku, then it will head to Silverstone, then Monza, then Sochi, and then Saudi Arabia, and then Abu Dhabi. There's been quite a bit of controversy about this calendar, considering a lot of classics such as Spa, Austria, have been left off, and quite a few circuits that they don't deem as exciting. have gotten races. I mean, but with this whole situation, one was always, with the two series being split, one was always going to end up with a better calendar than the other. And it seems that Formula 2 has drawn the short straw in this regard. And then in Formula 3, they will be supporting the Spanish, the French, the Austrian, the Hungarian and the Belgian Grand Prix, and then they will support the Dutch Grand Prix. And interestingly, for the first time, one of F1's main feeder series will be heading to Austin. Now, I think it was a little bit odd that it was F2, not F3, rather than F2 that got this. But it's good to see that the United States Grand Prix is going to have a proper junior series supporting it. So that is it for the video. The 2021 calendar has been revealed. It took quite a while, but it now has been revealed. Now be sure to, before I finish off, make sure you visit the RaceWeek website at raceweekblog.com. Follow us on Twitter, raceweek_show. And make sure you subscribe to this, leave a like, comment and subscribe to this channel for more RaceWeek content. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Or not sure if it's going to be tomorrow when this gets uploaded. This might actually be uploaded after the midweek recap, which will take place on Thursday. And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you for the next video. Goodbye.